Kung Fu. Kung Fu. I should have learned Kung Fu. Maybe I could still learn Kung Fu. Anybody out there willing to teach me some Kung Fu? Can I learn some Kung Fu? Good middle of the night. Get out of here, man. I'm on the Pacific Coast, bro. This is not the middle of the night. This is Friday night at like 11:30. This is the beginning of, or Saturday night at like 11:30. This is not, dude, this is party time. All these fucking states, man, they go to bed at like 9 a.m. It's like, is California the only state that doesn't shut down at fucking 8:30? Oh, look at that. Sun's starting to crest down below the horizon. I'm going to go ahead and close up the shop, Martha, and head home and start moving the cows into the barn. I don't care about time zones. Time zones exist in your mind, okay? There's one universal time, okay? And your fucking insistence on colonial time zones has been widely disproven by one G Time Johnny. I mean, get with the fucking program here, man. I just heard Ben Shapiro's voice for some reason saying, they were saying pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I kind of want to like find that and clip it and make a beat out of it. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. But just Ben Shapiro, dude. Based Shapiro, yeah. Did you say is your best song that you have made? My best song that I have made. What does made mean? Because like I've co-written a bunch of songs. Does that count? Like, does that count? Co-performed a bunch of songs? Does that count as making? I don't know. I'll tell you the one that came that probably like was the deepest. There's a song that we wrote called Grapes and More back in the Apple Nasty days. It's got a reference in it to the term wetback because it was used very frequently in our town. And because the attitude towards those people was so bad in the town. It was a song that we wrote that we really felt when we were kids. We really felt when we were kids like explained our angst at living in this little place and how confined by it we felt. Peacock. I liked that song for a long time. I wrestle with the kind of ambiguous racism in it. But then I remember it was written in 1995. Do you feel as if media should be viewed through the lens it was made in or trying to represent? Wait. Do you feel as if media should be viewed through the lens it was made in? Or I don't even know how to answer that question, dog. I'm going to be honest with you. YouTube's always late with the notifications. It's just expected at this point. It's just expected at this point. So what's going on, chat? Let me switch over to the live chat. Make sure I'm not missing any spice. See, look at this. Media is either good or bad. Sometimes it cannot bear the ideological cringe that it holds. What? All right, what's going on? What YouTubers do you respect and rate? None of them. They're all fucking bums, including me. Never trust a YouTuber. We'll knife you just as soon as look at you. We smile in your face all day, but turn that back. Favorite Cronenberg film? It's hard not to pick The Thing, right? I really liked the movie that he did with Jeremy Irons, where he plays the twins. I can't remember the fucking name. Jeremy Irons plays two twin brothers. What is that fucking movie called? Split Personality or Dead Ringers? Thank you. That may be the one. That movie's fucking great. I can't believe I went so long in my life and didn't see that film. I watched that movie for the first time last year, in the height of the lockdowns. It was one of our movies that we watched. And I was blown away by that movie. It was great. Definitely not what I expected it to be. Possessor, huh? I'll check it out. Oh, dude, you have to see fucking Dead Ringers if you're a Jeremy Irons fan and a David Cronenberg fan and you've never seen Dead Ringers, bro. You got to get on that shit. That's a pretty fucking good movie. A movie I really think at the end of it is about misogyny, which is interesting. Premise? Kind of a movie that it's hard to give as a premise. There's I'll try, two eccentric twin brothers who are both brilliant in science, lead a very normal public life, but their private life hides a dark secret. That's the best I could probably try to do. Yeah. It's good. Well, it's definitely a mad scientist film then, if you're a fan of the mad scientist trope. I've been a rash of time loop movies these days, a la Groundhog Day, and I'm enjoying the resurgence of the concept. Yeah, I mean, it seems like time and the strangeness of it is starting to come into the consciousness in a way that's a little more complex than the typical let's go back in time, don't. You know, like, it's more like, well, let's observe time from the fourth dimension and move forward and backwards through time simultaneously. Time travel movies are almost too predictable for you at this point. I mean, they can be a little predictable, I guess. I suppose. I've never seen Hidden. No, I have not. You know what? I was thinking about something. I want to run it by you guys. As I've developed in talking about things, as I've tried to dip my foot back into the idea of political action and developed my arguments. And if you guys have been listening to me as I've done this on the channel, right? I feel like I've inadvertently, and this is not a bad thing, I've inadvertently recreated what used to be the left in my childhood in terms of my ideology. The environmentalist left that used to be so strong and is now maligned as a bunch of hippies and idiots. The anti-war left that used to be so strong and is now just completely fucking silent. Like, and the fucking labor left, which used to be very strong and is now silent. These ideas are very, very, very fucking scary to a lot of leftists. Why? When did these become like small problems in the world from the perspective of the left? The environment, war, labor. How is the left today not pro-environment? Because they continuously elect people like Joe Biden, who say that they're going to be the most progressive fucking environmentalist ever, but Dakota Access Pipeline still pumping oil, no fracking ban, no sign at all of letting up our destructive environmental policies that prop up our economy. No sign at all of doing anything that's going to even come close to the wild. Like, I had a lib on Twitter today quoting Biden's fucking climate promises at me. I was like, is this your first cycle? Is this your first cycle? You've never heard the emissions by 2050 promise before? You don't realize that the last leftist administration, or the last Democrat administration in this country, the Obama administration, made the similar promise. We're going to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030. Emissions are just okay, I have a question. It's possible that your standards for what constitutes those things, what an anti-war left movement looked like, have changed. No, I really don't think so. I really think that, like, any vestige of what used to be a robust anti-war left movement has been buried under this lesser of two evilism, status quo leftism fucking shit. And there's various flavors of it. There's the go with the flow party line D-voter. There's this new breed of intellectual, young, revolutionary leftists who all just do the same thing. You know, there's boomers who jump back and forth between the two parties because that's what their generation did. You know what I mean? Like, where are they at? Where's the anti-war left? Where's the anti-war left that would have been screaming bloody murder 30 years ago if Joe Biden had dropped a bomb on Syria, let alone continued to prosecute forever war? It just died. It just whimpered and died and rolled over like a dog to the idea that we're always going to be at war. And now you hear leftists talking about war policy and making excuses for fucking war actions and shit. And I'm like, whoa, Well, not in the people that lived through it. Maybe the generations that came after it, Joshua, but not in the people that lived through it. Okay, one more question then. Is it possible to be anti-war leftist and still vote for Biden? I consider myself very anti-war imperialism, and I vote for Biden. Dude, I'm not going to get in your fucking head about your vote, dude. I don't know. But you need to understand that a vote for Joe Biden is not an anti-war vote. It's not an anti-imperialism vote. Joe Biden never met a war he didn't love. Look at his voting record. Don't take my word for it. Go look at it. Go look at the time he spent in the Senate. Go look at his actions as vice president. Go look at his actions since he took the presidency. Joe Biden is not an anti-war candidate or an anti-imperialist candidate. So you take that with a grain of salt. I'm not going to get in your head about your vote. I mean, and make no bones about this, guys. There are people on the right, and I know that nobody likes to talk about people on the right because they're all horrible people, right? There are people on the right who feel the exact same way that a lot of us that have this no confidence philosophy feel. They feel like they are promised by the government constant action. They're promised by the government that these tax cuts are coming and that these tax cuts are going to change things for the better, and it never happens. They're promised a lot of things too on that end. You know, we have our promises. The shit they dangle in front of leftists is, we're going to cut emissions by 20XX. And we're going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. You know what I mean? The shit they dangle in front of Republicans is, we're going to challenge Roe v. Wade. We're going to fucking lower taxes, and we're going to make the prosperity back to the people. You know what I mean? None of that shit ever fucking happens. So there's a lot of disgruntled people out there that just aren't being spoken to politically. I'm one of them. Not on the right. I'm one of the leftists that isn't being spoken to politically. I'm one of those old school labor / anti-war / pro-environment leftists. I made a tweet earlier that these like hard single issue IDPOL leftists, like people who are about trans rights and nothing else in this conversation, refuse to admit that trans rights aren't going to mean shit in about 50 fucking years when the ocean stops making oxygen, or when the resource wars start in 15 to 20. I mean, the resource war is already going on now, but when they really start heating up. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to undercut trans rights or any LGBTQIA plus rights or any kind of fucking person of color's rights. But I gotta be fucking honest with you, dude. None of that social shit is going to matter in the world that is being built right now by Joe Biden. The DNC can slap a fucking LGBT flag on itself, but let's be honest, globally, LGBT people only suffer under Democratic fucking administrations. Here in America and globally, they suffer because of the continued crony capitalist corporatism that happens. The continued rape of the third world, the continued rape of the global south. India and China are at each other's fucking throats. It's heating up, folks. More female drone pilots. Yep. More trans drone pilots. DNC plus LGBT will always drop kick your leftism, though. That doesn't mean I'm not going to fight. That doesn't mean my position is going to change. Anybody that has listened to fucking 15 minutes of one of these where I discuss trans issues or LGBTQ issues knows that I'm a fucking staunch supporter of that community and a member of it. I just don't think that it's the end-all be-all that trans people can be in the military now. I don't think that that justifies the continued rape of the global South. And I don't think losing that right under a Republican administration is something that most trans people give a fuck about. Trans people shouldn't have to be bullet sponges in foreign wars to get their transitional surgery. Those LGBTQ flags are going to look really pretty tattered and flapping in the wind of a barren earth. I'm called a class reductionist for that argument. How can we ensure a good dragon will replace the evil blue dragon once we starve it? The same way that Christians ensured that they got a super religious party rather than a secular Republican Party. Do you know how do you know how the Republican Party became the party of Christianity? Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, evangelicals largely were encouraged by their pastors not to vote, and their priests not to vote, and their parish fucking heads not to vote, right? It was seen as a worldly concern that need not concern a Christian. Christians did not put their faith in the head man of any country. Christians put their faith in the Almighty. And Christians trust the Almighty to put the right person on the throne. Right? That was the political climate in the evangelical community, which has always been huge in America in the 50s, 60s, 70s. That's what you'd hear. The Republicans said, wait a minute. There's this whole swath of fucking people in this country being told not to vote for us because we refuse to say God, because we refuse to say Jesus Christ, because we refuse to pray, because we refuse to go to their prayer meetings and their prayer breakfasts and listen to their prayer fucking, lobby. Let's start doing it. Let's start listening. Let's start going to some of these national prayer breakfasts and shit. And they did it. And now guess what? Evangelicals vote every cycle to a T. They show out in huge numbers. Look at the numbers. Monkey processing tactics. And that's the story of how Christians got their way. Not by voting for it, by refusing to vote for it and holding out until somebody came to the table and did what they wanted. You know, what it was that they wanted didn't really mean much. They wanted to hear all kinds of Christian shit coming out of the mouths of their politicians. They got what they wanted. Republicans are so good at glad-handing evangelicals that they managed to convince them Donald Trump was a man of God. It didn't even matter that most evangelicals didn't buy it. Like, you think most evangelicals are complete dupes, but they're not. Most evangelical people didn't buy it. The sad truth of the matter is that the expectations of the evangelical community have been so lowered that the overture matters more than the reality. They don't care whether or not Trump actually goes to church. They don't care whether or not Trump actually fucking believes in God. All they care about is that when he's in front of a fucking camera, he closes his eyes and he lets people lay hands on him, and he says things like Jesus Christ, you know, is Lord every once in a while or whatever the fuck. That's all that's a perfect example of the power of lowered expectation. They don't care if he bans abortion. Dude, if fucking evangelicals cared if Republicans banned abortion, they would have stopped voting for them back in the fucking 80s and 90s when it became clear that that was just not gonna fucking happen. Here it is, 2020. They don't give a fuck if a Republican bans abortion. They just care if they make overtures towards it. The power of lowered expectation. Vote blue no matter who. Vote R no matter who they are. Cheers to that. At the end of the fucking world. Politicians and businesses only bring up LGBTQ stuff because it's one of the few things that currently considered progressive in our country. Yes. I will tell you this right now. Back in the fucking 90s, when the social climate was against gay people, you didn't see queer representation in advertising. You didn't see trans people in ads. You didn't see NB people being cool and being normal and being just hip and with it and with everybody else in ads. You know why? There was no money in it. Now it's a cash cow. And they're going to milk it until the fucking tit goes dry. Until the people that actually believe in the advancement of the rights of those people realize that they've been voting for and listening to the wrong people. Yes, it's a cash cow now, but it does have benefits socially. It has no benefit at all socially for Nike to slap an LGBTQ flag up and then oppress queer people in fucking Central America in their factories. And people of color. Indigenous people. It's a virtue signal, my friend. It's like slapping an LGBTQ flag on the side of a bomber and then sending it to bomb brown people overseas. Come on, bro. Learn to spot the difference between a real stand on something and a virtue signal that eventually is going to work against what you believe. What do you think is going to happen to a society who is continually fucking barraged with companies that lie about caring about a fucking queer person's life. How do you think it's going to be positive for society to roll with that for a while and then realize it was all a fucking lie? You think that bounce back is going to be good for gay people, lesbian people, trans people, NBs? Newsflash, it ain't gonna be. When you let your movement be attached to a bunch of lying fucking hucksters who spout flowery rhetoric and then oppress the very self-same people that you fucking want to help, all it does is undermine your fucking message to the core of it. Some people got to learn that the fucking hard way. Yeah, third world factories are miserable for everyone regardless of sexual orientation or skin color. Exactly. So as Nike is flying the LGBTQIA plus flags, it's oppressing POCs, LGBTQ people that work in the factories and children that work in the factories. And you want to tell me that's an overall good thing to have a company like that flying the flag of your fucking social progress? You don't think there's a backlash coming because of that? Devil's bargain. The very people that are raping the natural world and raping the people that you claim to care about, flying your flag is a good thing? American voters don't vote on foreign policy. When are they given the opportunity to vote on a foreign policy that doesn't include constant fucking interventionalism and nationalism and imperialism? I'll wait. I'll wait. Look at interracial marriage then. Used to be taboo, but more and more it was portrayed in the media, even if solely for profit. It made more normal socially. That's definitely a factor now. Yes. That's minute social change that happened, by the way, I'll remind you, under a long list of Republican presidents. Despite having a long list of Republican presidents from the time it was fucking illegal to the time it was made legal, there's a long list of two-term Republican presidencies and a very checkered history of House control. And for some reason, that social change still happened. How did that happen? You would think that in order for that to happen, right, that this Democratic Party would have to have constant power, right? It happened because social change isn't something that the fucking political class tries to control. It's something the political class tries to exploit. You think they give a fuck if you're gay? Really? They don't give a fuck. They might rail against you. And when I say they, I mean the political class and the owner class. When I say they might rail against you, but that's only because it's what some dumb fucks want to hear. They might claim to be in your fucking corner, but that's only because what some dumb fucks want to hear. They're not interested in controlling the flow of social change. They're interested in capitalizing on it along with their corporate friends. That's why Nike's got these flags flying. That's why they had the audacity during the Obama administration to paint the fucking White House with LGBTQ colors, and why everybody sucked it up. Meanwhile, how much easier has it gotten for fucking a trans person to transition in this country? I'll wait. How much better has it gotten for a Haitian in this country? I'm a cisgendered millennial POC woman, and I'm listening to everything that you talk about. Join the CIA, LGBTQCIA. Lip surface. You ever heard the old ass fucking term money talks and bullshit walks? We've forgotten that. We've forgotten that bullshit walks. Oh yeah. Joe Biden said he loves queer people. Yeah. Meanwhile, gay people and trans people, healthcare, please. Nah. Where's the love? It's starting to sound like you say one thing out of one side of your mouth. I love gay people, Jack. Out of the other side of your mouth, you say, fuck those people. They're on their own. Trump holding up the rainbow flag. What do you think that was about? It's the same shit I'm talking about. Money talks, bullshit walks. It's time we remembered it. So when you need me, darling, can you feel me? SOS. The love you gave me, nothing else can save me. SOS. So argue with me. How would you convince an upper class liberal who faces no discrimination to stop voting for liberals without bringing up the environment? Why can't I? Why am I hamstrung about the environment? So it's just like a thought experiment question. Just want to know what the argument would be solely from an economic and social perspective. So yes, thought experiment question. All right. Setting aside the environmental question, focusing solely on social issues and economic issues. All right. The system of economics that is currently in place as the global paradigm, as led by the United States, is fundamentally illiberal in every sense of the word. It exports misery, exploitation, economic devastation everywhere it goes. It hurts POCs, it hurts indigenous communities, and it causes a lot of the problems that we face in terms of migration crises and border crises. And if we don't address it head on, which none of these candidates seems to be willing to do, then it's going to get worse. You know, I had to dodge around some ecological devastation there, but I mean, the social one is harder because you have to convince people that the people that wrap themselves in the LGBTQ flag don't give a fuck about trans people or queer people or people of color or anything. They just want your vote. Proof's in the pudding. Like I said, if you trace the progress of social change, it's driven by people. It's us that has to decide how we deal with one another when it comes to social ideas. It was driven by people and adopted by political parties, not the inverse. They didn't tell us how to feel about gay rights. So rather than constantly settling for voting for the party that pays lip service to us but never does a fucking thing for us, we take some action to let them know that they can no longer have our votes unless they're willing to come to the fucking table with us in a real way. And if they ain't, they die. Not really, politically, I mean. The DNC, snip, snip. No more votes, no more support, no more money. How do you support BLM and a guy that opposed free busing to black neighborhoods? And don't tell me, because he changed his mind. His record doesn't reflect that. He loves austerity. Why'd he go after black people his whole fucking political career, including when he was underneath the first black president? Biden's a fucking racist. Quit making excuses. If he had an R next to his name, you'd hate the motherfucker. Be real about it. I don't want my children growing up in a racial jungle. These are hyper predators. That's how he described black people. Back when Mark Wahlberg was Marky Mark, which wasn't that long ago, folks. Trust me. Super predators, hyper predators. I don't want my family living near that, Jack. I don't want my children growing up in a racial jungle. Fuck you. How you gonna support BLM in that? Oh, you're a women's issues / LGBTQ issue voter? How about how this guy backs a woman up into a fucking wall and forces his fingers into her vagina? How about that? How about the numerous allegations of sexual misconduct against Joe Biden? You think this guy really fucking gives a fuck about women? You think anybody that would back a woman up in the wall and reach his hand roughshod up underneath her fucking skirt and finger bang her against her will gives a fuck about a woman? Other than as a breeding mare for his weird little crack smoking, Parmesan smoking fucking progeny? Can I talk about the resource war I mentioned? Yeah, give me a sec. And go get a fucking profile pic, please. Well, I'm getting my pipe lit. Your homework is to go get a fucking profile pic. So number one, you don't have to listen to me talk about the resource wars because your vice president talked about the resource wars just this month. She said in front of a small rally that wars have been fought over oil for generations. That is a stunning admission from an American fucking political figure, especially a vice president. And said that soon wars will be fought over water. So resource wars are about scarcity. Scarcity is about hyper-exploitation of a finite resource. Capitalism is about hyper-exploitation of a finite resource. Dun, 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 dun. Do we just fucking make a connection? Scarcity is inevitable, so use it all now, right? Can some of you fucking people honestly believe that you voted for this fucking little girl sniffing weirdo? Quote Patti Smith, the people have power, yes. I don't really agree with you much on strategy, Paul, but I enjoy talking to you, and I feel your ideas are worth discussing amongst leftists and non-leftists. Fine. What don't you agree with? What don't you agree with? The fucking shit is called argue or be argued. Argue with me. Here I am. You don't agree with me. Okay. What don't you agree with? Go point by point if you have to. You listen to me enough. Don't bow out. Don't be demure about this shit. Engage me. Here I am. I'm not gonna ban you. Hook it up. What do you got? I understand that. That's why I said take it point by point. Look, I didn't invent the limitations of this, but I'm here. Your plan includes empowering conservatives so that a real Labor Party will form and eventually take them over, correct? Empowering conservatives. No, my plan doesn't include empowering conservatives at all. And the hope being that some labor-based form of structure will replace the DNC. Yes, that's ultimately what I hope for. Empowering conservatives by not voting Democrat. Am I wrong? I thought you've said that. That's the same argument that's used against people who vote for like Green Party candidates or People's Party candidates or Socialist Party candidates. I don't buy that shit. A vote for one of those is no more a vote for a conservative than a no confidence vote is. Yeah, totally bad faith interpretation of my argument. So right off the bat, we got problems, right? Your interpretation of my argument is wrong. Dems and reps have completed power already because people aren't willing to go fight for concessions in the streets. Playing their electoral politics game is a cycle rigged for gambling. Yeah. No, that wasn't an argument. I was just trying to steelman your position so I could then address that. Okay. But I'm wrong, so I got to start over. Okay. Yeah, that argument that is used against people that have decided to fucking, you know what I mean? People that have decided to fucking vote for third-party candidates, especially far-left third-party candidates, Jill Stein-type people, are voting for the conservative party. That's just fucking bad faith bullshit. You know it. Someone on the DFF subreddit was accusing you of Vosh derangement syndrome. Came to hear your perspective. Well, did you just arrive, or have you been listening for a little while? Because if you've been listening a little while, I would say, does it sound like I have Vosh derangement syndrome to you? And if you haven't, I would recommend you use the DVR feature that I always enable on my stream so that you can back it up and listen to what I have to say a little bit. Because I've been talking about it for or at least politics, for 45 minutes. We didn't have another choice other than Biden. We had to vote for him if it meant kicking the moronic fascist out. I mean, The moronic fascists would have been kicked out by term limits and fucking one more term anyway. And it looks like you're going to get the moronic fascist again in 2024. Congratulations, you fucking kicked the can down the road. So your no confidence vote is meant to take power away from the DNC, Star of the Blue Dragon. I don't like the Blue Dragon shit either, so you're going to have to present your argument to me without that. That is TJ's invention. TJ wanted me to talk about it as the Blue Dragon and the Red Dragon. I don't use that rhetoric. You can't find me using that rhetoric outside of that conversation with him. You're gonna have to fucking summarize my position in a way that doesn't include things that I don't agree with. There's no simplifying it, bro. There's no simplifying it to that extent. It's not a red dragon. It's not a blue dragon. It's better to represent it as a two-headed dragon if we're going to talk these dragons. Yeah, sure. You want to use dragon analogies? Call it what it is, a two-headed dragon. That's my contention, is that one head feeds the other mutually. And they use our votes to do it. How would no confidence disempower the Republican Party? I say this as someone who's down with the idea but concerned. How does voting for Democrats disempower the Republican Party if Trump's about to fucking run again in 2024? I mean, I just think about the opposite of your fucking question. How does the other side of it disempower the Republican Party? How does yelling at people who vote Green or vote American Socialist Party, how does yelling at them do any of that? You know what I mean? No confidence is not about just the right in. Paul's defiantly discussed direct action along with it as well. Definitely, yes. I just want to get this beginning part established. Your plan is to disempower the DNC by not voting for DNC candidates. Is this correct? My plan, okay, so no. My plan is to apply pressure to the DNC by threatening its existence, by refusing to vote for rapists and racists and crony capitalists and shitbags anymore. And if the DNC is willing to fucking come to the plates, I'm willing to vote for them. But if they're willing to serve me butt hash I'm willing to fucking starve them. And if that means for you voting third party, then you do it. I plan to vote no confidence. And write that in. But then the Republican Party will win. You don't know that. So let's say that they will not come to the table. Then you won't vote for, I won't vote for DNC candidates, period, ever again in my life. So they can come to the table or they can rot for all I fucking care. I voted no confidence for my mayor's election. Dude wants to chop down the only forest we have here and put up windmills, also increase fracking. His opponent wanted to do even more of it. Joke, right? So next question or comment or whatever the fuck. Well, type it up and reserve it, or you can spam it if you type it after you see me leave, but I'll be right back. I'm gonna go fill up my water cup. returned. Not taking sides here, just a thought. If there was enough traction to starve the DNC with no confidence, wouldn't there be enough traction for progressives to take over the Dem Party in the first place? That argument is one of the ones that's used in favor for this, or in favor of electoralism. And I present to you Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the squad, who is named as such because their campaign promise was to vote as a voting bloc and use that to exert pressure on the libs in Congress to actually get things done. AOC, there's even a quote from her talking about being a one-term politician is great. You can get tons done. She doesn't believe that anymore. So this is what happens. When you send progressives into the system, it churns out Pelosi's. So let's move on. Yeah? We've all made it through at least one Republican regime. People act like it's the end of the world to lose to them. It takes losing an election to rid the DNC of bad blood, so be it. So if there's a group of no confidence people and the DNC refuses to make concessions, they then refuse to vote Democrat, which leads to the Democrat election, to less Democrat election wins. Do we agree with that? Presuming that there's a large enough block of voters that are no longer willing to vote for the DNC, then yes, presumably, and it's made up of people who formally voted for them, who formally were reliable DNC voters. So there's a lot of assumption here. But for the sake of moving forward, I'll allow it, right? So, yes, a significant number of people who typically would vote for the DNC decide instead that they're going to put their money into mutual aid orgs and nonprofits and not support the DNC in any way. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting where? I don't mean to try and preempt your argument or whatever, but if your argument is this leads to more Republicans being in power, ergo Republicans are worse, ergo blah, 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 you can save it. The Republicans are going to win anyway. You have no plan if you're an electoralist to defeat the fucking Republicans. The support for my argument, 20th and 21st century history. So if that's not it, then proceed. Proceed, sir. Whatever. If there's some hope, it's that Dems like Pelosi, Feinstein, and Biden are old and will be dead soon, and the younger Dems will step in and will be more progressive. Which younger Dems? The ones that have stepped in that claim to be more progressive have voted party line Pelosi since they got in. And have gone from crying at the border camps to contextualizing them. So which group? You guys know that AOC's political action committee funnels money to Democrats who take corporate PAC donations, even though that's its stated purpose. This was news to me. I just learned this recently. AOC's Political Action Committee, Courage to Change, I think it's called, has a stated purpose to give money only to grassroots, non-corporate PAC accepting candidates, and they give to 31 candidates, and out of those 31, 28 accept corporate money, and 28 of them are against Medicare for all. And I think none of them have all three of the major party platforms of progressives, which are the environment, Medicare for all, and whatever, one other. Regretting that $5 to Bernie yet? Ruh-roh. Politicians aren't coming to save us, and the only sword we have is our vote. And if we keep voting for the same politician in a different mask every goddamn cycle, we're doomed. Wouldn't Republicans crush all possibilities of a real Labor Party forming to defeat them eventually? The Republicans, like, dude, just look at political history. Look at what happens during Republican administrations. Please, please, please look at what happens. We had 3 fucking consecutive years in my lifetime, or 3 consecutive Republican terms in my lifetime. Please look. Please watch. Please understand that the world doesn't come to an end if a Republican wins a fucking cycle. And please understand that under your current voting, the Republican will win. This idea that we've started some blue wave that's going to continue forever and the Republican's never going to win again is fucking childish. Look at your history. Yeah, unions were not voted into existence. Unions were beaten into existence in the streets with tire irons, and I'm not joking. Look at the history of the American labor movement. It was not a political movement. At least it didn't start that way. Nobody got the labor movement started by voting for Joe Biden. It was a tire irons in the fucking streets movement. So keep that in mind. Direct action is used when the political game falls apart, which it has. Yep. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just worried. Why? Why are you worried that in the shadow of a fucking failed DNC that a new fucking labor presence that speaks for fucking blue collar people and promises and delivers on fucking promises? Like, what's to stop? What are they going to do to stop it? Is the emperor going to execute Order 66 or whatever the fuck during one Republican administration while we get our shit together? It's 4 fucking years. 8 if you give them 2. If we can't do it in that much fucking time, then what's the point of doing this anyway? $30 years until the equator of the world and the belt around it is uninhabitable for human beings. 50 years until the ocean is functionally dead. Let those fucking numbers sink in. Kamala Harris in front of people nationally saying that we're going to have water wars soon. Let it sink in. They're currently disenfranchising voters in many states. That's where the direct action comes in, brother. Part 2. No fucking leftist movement of note is going to happen unless we start supporting people hitting the fucking streets. And that's BLM. And if you think BLM is supported by fucking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, you're a fucking dupe. They refused to meet with leaders from fucking BLM before they took office. Refused. Out and out refused them time. BLM is the only actual direct action movement right now, and they're not getting anywhere. I wonder if that's because liberals sit at a brunch instead of trying to help. Head scratcher. Exactly. That was my point. Not that BLM is the end-all be-all. BLM is what's hitting the streets right now, and it's just not. It's foundering because the liberal administration has come back, and all the support that it had under Trump has evaporated. You know what hasn't evaporated? The problems, the issues that they were protesting and burning the city down for in the first place. None of that has functionally changed at all. You know, you were, whatever, man. I mean, if BLM has been hijacked by corporatists, then corporatists did a fucking really weird thing back when BLM was in the streets. I'm going to vote too, bud. I'm just not going to be badgered into voting. I'm not going to be shamed into voting for a rapist, a man that backs women up against walls and invades them, a child-sniffing weirdo, a segregationist, racist, austerity-loving warmonger. I will not be shamed or bullied ever into giving my vote to that. You might as well forget about socioeconomic change. We already had many protests and riots throughout recent decades, and not very much has changed. I'm not saying that protests and riots are going to fix everything. I actually call for direct, nonviolent action. The type of protests I want to see don't necessarily include looting and rioting. They include mass marches of people of every fucking color, shutting down the entire financial district of New York City, shutting down the entirety of the plaza in fucking Washington where all these people work, and demanding their grievances be redressed. And if the cops come to beat you, you let them beat you. You get back up, you come back. Shut down fucking DC with nonviolent sit-in direct action. Actually occupy Wall Street, yes. Make them roll the tanks on you in front of the international community and be willing to die for it if they do. A lot of people did during the last big movement of people like this. The civil rights movement and the anti-war movement in the 60s, 70s. People shot straight up fucking dead, peacefully protesting. What if direct action doesn't stop voter disenfranchisement? Then it escalates. If they've stolen your vote for you, then they've just become your king. Then it escalates. Then constitutionally, you have a fucking duty to overthrow them. Or did I read that wrong? So if you're telling me the end result is vote for the rapist or you get your entire fucking vote taken away? That sound like a bargain that's not a gun to your head to you? That sound like a bargain that's going to bring change? Think about it. Shut that motherfucker down. Shut down the financial district. Put so many people in front of the fucking building that they can't open it. And they got to call in the goddamn fucking National Guard and be willing to die for it and let them do it to you once. And then be willing to come back and do it the next day and the next day. You shut that building down for a fucking hour, you got national news. You shut it down for a day? Couple million people peacefully descend on that fucking city and shut it the fuck down? Lay down in the street. Cram yourself in the fucking doorway. They can't shoot you all. They can't run you all over. Can't jail you all. It's not enough cops. Not enough military. The only thing we got is numbers. I open mic at the factory bar in the village a lot, and I talk politics with right-wing factory workers a lot. They're more down with this type of action than leftists realize. We just have to engage. They don't want to engage. They want to make fun of. They want to ostracize, and they want to play right into this red versus blue mentality. Thank you, Eric. If you meant to have a comment come with that, feel free to put it in the chat. Sometimes people mistakenly... I usually watch these, I fall asleep, and joining a revolution is becoming a common theme in my dreams. Well, good. Dream well. Sorry I missed your super chat. I got to it eventually. And like I said, Eric, if you meant to say something with that super chat, feel free to say it, and I'll respond. Some people mistakenly will send a super chat and not have anything in it. But if you just meant to send the $5, thank you. Oh, and they're not all frothing at the mouth racists either. I was at a bar when the Chauvin results came in and people were buying rounds left and right, mostly Trump voters too. Well, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to you paint a pretty fucking rosy picture, but look, this idea that everybody that's ideologically opposed to you is some rabid fucking racist that wants to rape your mom and kill all fucking black people or whatever, just untrue. There's a lot of fucking just normal blue-collar people that have been duped by the economic message that Republicans give or the Christian message that Republicans put on. Who told you fascism hasn't already taken hold? Doesn't fascism mean actively advocating for the stripping of social rights, advocating for the reduction of the power of people to vote, and supplanting the people's will with a single party dictatorship? Isn't that fascism? Why is it we do that everywhere but on our own soil, and you call us a non-fascist government? Why do we support fascism everywhere we fucking plant our foot everywhere else in the world, but you call us a non-fascist government? Do you think that the 300 some odd fucking million people that live here in the United States are the only people on the planet? It's easy to point out the loudmouth extremists, especially with the rise of social media, but most people on the other side of the political spectrum are human beings that can be reasoned with. Well, tell that to fucking everybody else, bro. Because I was stewed in that kind of fucking environment, and people want to tell me it doesn't exist. I'm not a Haitian. Yeah, remember that? I'm not a Haitian. Well, lucky for you, huh? People want to pretend that this is a little time capsule over here and that the things that we do here in America don't have ripples that affect the rest of the world. And it's just a childlike way of thinking. It's definitely a childlike way of being a fucking philosophical leftist. Well, they're not me, so they don't exist. Isn't that like pulling your blanket over the head and going, "Nuh-uh, monster, you won't get me"? That was a terrible moment for me. You saw how I reacted when TJ said that shit. I couldn't believe he said it. But I'm telling you, dude, be like engaging in this lesser of two evils cult makes you fucking say wacky shit. It just does, dude. It turns normally fucking reasonable people into people who say wacky shit. I'm not a Haitian. I'm a white man. It's just a wall of shit, bro. We have to chisel through so many preconceptions to get even a talk with somebody to tread water. Like, I spent all that time talking to that fucking guy earlier, and I'm pretty sure he walked out of here going like, "Meh, he's still wrong because reasons or whatever," even though I gave him complete access to ask me whatever he had so much trouble just getting my fucking argument right without misrepresenting it. And then once he did that, he just kind of like, "All right, bro, I just wanted to clarify things." Would you consider Biden a fascist then? I feel like you've implied it, but I don't remember you outright saying it. I think Biden and our entire fucking national government are fascists. My evidence is how they treat the global south and how closely they work with corporations and see to the interests of corporations and how easily they work hand in glove. I think we live in a fascist nation. And I think we export the misery of that fascism to the global south in the form of our economic and ecological devastation. And I think that brown people and black people and poor people and trans people and NB people and non-conforming and people in this country reap the motherfucking whirlwind because of it. They've subverted the Democratic electorate twice in a row now with electoral shenanigans. We're still pretending we don't live in a fascist nation. We're all still fucking dreaming like we're a force for good in this world, or that there's some good left fighting for in this fucking goddamn country. And when it comes to politics, that's been gone forever. We're not playing ourselves, Jawan. That would be one thing. And I'm not trying to correct you. You're right. We are ultimately, in the long run, playing ourselves. But the sad truth of it is, Jawan, we're playing out the global south so that we can be comfortable and have cell phones and internet and air conditioning when it gets a little warm. We're playing the fuck out of those people. And when that's gone, then we're playing ourselves. Leftists don't want to fucking talk about this. Well, if you want to meet with me, Raz, or something, reach out to me on fucking Twitter and we'll do a fucking thing in the future or whatever. I feel like I was fucking charitable to you here. If I missed a chat of yours or two, I'm sorry. The format is hard for that if I'm not looking at it. But I feel like I gave you a fair fucking shake up in here. And I feel like it did me no fucking good. Because you're going to walk the fuck out of here with the same fucking attitude you walked the fuck in here with. Because I wasn't skilled enough to chisel through your preconceptions that you're doing some fucking moral good. Voting for a rapist, voting for a... Like, I just hit you in the face with this shit. And you go, yeah, but well, yeah, but well, yeah, but well, yeah, but well. Yeah, but well what? Trump's a rapist? Yeah, but well what? Trump's a fucking racist? Yeah, but well what? Trump's a corporate whore? Yeah, but well what? Trump's a warmonger? Yeah, but well what? Trump's destructive to the global south? What do I do? What more do I do to impinge upon your thinking? I was charitable to you. I devoted about a fucking hour of my stream to you. And you're going to walk out of here with the same preconceived notions that you had at the beginning of this fucking chat, despite not presenting a single fucking refutation. And you're going to claim it's format problems. You really think I would have responded differently had you spoken those words to me? Because if you do, or if you think your argument holds more water, I invite you. We'll do a Discord thing. Hit me up on Twitter. We'll get around to it. But until then, just at least think about the shit that I've talked about in this fucking stream tonight. If nothing else, even if you walk out of here with no fucking, you know what I mean? No fucking change in your attitude. At least consider the shit that was said. Yes, arms proliferation drives the global war on terror. So we have simultaneously fought this war against the Middle East that we claim that they started, meanwhile arming them. So we're oftentimes sending American troops to go die in front of American guns. Don't you fucking love it? Twitter, you're still on that miserable cesspool. I haven't, maybe you rewound or something. I haven't even mentioned Twitter. But you're right, it is a cesspool. Guys, and I hope you take my guys as inclusively as possible. I'm from California. Everybody's a dude and a bro and a guy. It's a very, I mean it in a very gender non-conforming way. Guys, can we get real as leftists, please? Please. You've heard my fucking arguments. Now, what are we gonna do? What do I do? Oh, I will tell you that Vosh responded to my DM. We didn't agree to meet again, but the fact that he responded to my DM and they didn't say no, I don't know what's going on with that, but stay tuned on that, I guess. And that for me is all about a platform and nothing else for the idea. Vosh, no disrespect to him, Vosh could be anybody with that platform, and I'd want to get this idea there in front of that audience. Well, I bear no ill will towards the dude, but, you know, I have a feeling it'll be a spicy conversation, and I don't see why he would be adverse to it. So, we'll see. I mean, you guys are hearing me tired as fuck, stoned as fuck, late as fuck, the middle of the night as fuck, croaky and crappy as fuck, crabby as fuck. I make tons of videos about my ideas. Here's my problem. And this has always been my problem as a leftist, and I'll address it for you guys, okay? You just asked a question, why don't you make videos about your ideas? I spend mother fucking hours sitting out here doing this, talking about my fucking ideas, bro. Everything that you would want to know about my position is here. The problem is mine, though, because I present it in a very undigestible way to people. There's no way. My neighbor Mike said he loves your pipe. Well, tell Mike thanks. Anyway, there's like no way for me to, like, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at like making these like little bursty videos. And I don't want to be a dude that just covers news stories and feigns outrage at them. And so this is how, like, that's my biggest fucking deficiency, is that I don't use this platform properly. I don't fucking cut these up into smaller videos or timestamp them or whatever. I really wish somebody that gave a fuck and that spent a lot of time doing this would start timestamping these. I'll start chaptering based on timestamps. Help me the fuck out. If you're watching these regularly and you've got the time to do it, even if you're passively watching, take down timestamps and put them in the chat. I'll use them. I'm not asking you to fucking like do it all the time. But if you start doing them, I will start using the fucking chapter feature and shit. And if it catches on or whatever, you know what I mean? Just whatever the general topic is. It doesn't have to be broken down into tiny little chunks, like whatever the topic. Paul on this. That's the way I envision it. Paul on voting. Paul on, you know, why the DNC has to go. Paul on guns. Paul on religion. Paul on sex. Paul on trans rights. Paul on this. I'll start helping. You guys help me, I'll help that. And then I'll, you know, if something's really good, I'll cut it up. Like, or I'll hire a fucking editor to cut, like, I'll send them the timestamps and be like, just chop this up and add some pictures. And I'll put it up like that. I'm scatterbrained as fuck. I move on from these the minute I press stop. And it's the next one that I think about. And that's my failing. So help me out. If you believe in what I'm doing here, help me out. If you watch these, timestamp them. If you're watching this tomorrow and you notice that nobody has timestamped it and you watch the whole fucking thing all the way to this point, go timestamp it real quick or start doing it with the next one, please. calling a democratic government a bunch of fascists is exactly the extremist mentality that leads people to become fascists themselves or mass murderers. I mean, when are you going to fucking realize that we're mask off? Jamie will back me up on this. I know it would be helpful to anybody that streams like this. Please help me with this. And not all of you have to do it. If you see a big one, just upvote it. You know what I mean? Make sure I see it so I can go back through these the next day before I start the next one, and I'll do that chapter feature and I'll hook it up, guys. I will. It'll make it easier to digest these and easier for me to come up with a title for these. I'll retitle them too if you guys think that'll help. Well, I mean, if somebody wants to hit me up about it, I'd be willing to, like, you know, obviously I'm not asking you to fucking do a bunch of work here, but I'd be willing to sling somebody some fucking cash to do this or whatever. A little extra bread in your pocket or whatever for your time, if you're willing to fucking do it regularly and go back through the ones you miss and do it. But, you know, that's about all I can do, right? Like, I'm not asking for a fucking miracle here. My definition of fascism is a government that is heavily entwined with the media, that exports military and economic violence all over the world, and then couches it as political progress at home. It's usually tied very strongly with nationalism, in my mind at the very least, and also tied very strongly with a tame nationalistic policy and a brutal global policy of exploitation. Militarism and corporatism too go hand in hand as well. Wilhelm Reich, The Mass Psychology of Fascism. I wish you hadn't dropped that recommendation here. I wish you'd drop it somewhere where I'm actually likely to remember it, but good recommendation, I guess. Sounds interesting. I'll check it out if I can remember it. Have you ever heard the term, you are judged by the company you keep? Is that familiar to you? If America's not a fascist country, why are we so cozy with so many fascist dictatorships all over the fucking world? And why do we materially and militarily support them? Why do we fight against their people for them? Ruh-roh, Raggy. If it's true that you're judged by the company that you keep, then what's the story, Morning Glory? You know what I mean? We support literal, brutal dictatorships that violently kill their populace, that violently repress LGBTQ people and women all around the fucking globe. Cozy as fuck with these motherfuckers. And yet we're not a fascist country, though. Why? Because we have this nationalistic lie that we tell to ourselves that we're some grand democracy, while the proof in the pudding is we're not. The truth of the matter is we're 370 million motherfucking people. Let's be real about this. What we generate exports misery to every fucking corner of this goddamn globe, and you better fucking believe it too. Our boot is on the neck of every gay person, every lesbian, every bisexual, every trans person in the global south. Every person of color, every indigent person, every poor person. We get a little bit of the softer boot here, and we're all comfy and we all want to protect it. And we all want to put the fucking horse blinders on and pretend like none of the rest of this is happening. We want to wait around for finger bangers like Joe Biden, racist, corporatist, rapist fucks. How do you feel about that, Jamie, voting for somebody who backed somebody up against a wall and slid their fingers into her vagina? As somebody that very recently has been covering women's issues on your stream, how do you feel about walking into the voting booth and voting for somebody who pushed a woman up against a wall and forcibly forced his fingers into her pussy and used his power and privilege to do that? I'll wait. I don't even want to see another chat right now. I actually want to see what Jamie has to say about that. Gross. Somebody screenshot that. Gross. Real fucking gross. Yeah, Biden is hurting kids all over the fucking world right now. Let me ask you this question, Jamie, since you're probably really fucking versed in it. Are rapists typically one-time offenders? What's the recidivism rate on rape? So if he pushed a woman up against the wall and forced his fingers into her vagina one time, you think that was a one-shot Johnny? What does the science tell you about that, Jamie? Is rape typically a one-shot crime? I understand that, but Trump did the same, and you voted for one of them. Congratulations. How do you feel as a woman, as a trans woman, who is currently dedicating her channel to women's issues, that you vocally supported someone that pushes women up against the wall and forces their fingers into their vaginas? And if you follow the science on fucking sex abusers, which I know you do, Because, of course, you're dedicating a very significant portion of your content to it right now. Or at least plan to, from what I understand, right? So you know what the recidivism rate is on sex abusers, right? Are you an advocate for women? For trans people? For black people? And for poor people? And if so, you voted for this fucking man. Congrats. You gave ultimate power to a raper. To a man that uses women like a fucking fist object. Whenever he pleases, and you know it. Shame on you. Shame on everybody that voted for this fuck. And double shame on anybody who endorses a fucking thing that he does. It won't sink in. It never does. No confidence. If my fucking choices are being forced to vote for a raper, no confidence. Not putting my name next to either one of those fucking vampires. Which one is more powerful matters to me when they back women up against the wall. I'm a real advocate for women's rights. I'm a real advocate for sex abuse victims. I'm a victim of sex abuse myself. I stand for those people. I stand in their defense. And when I see the most powerful man in the world shirking off what he's done to women his entire fucking life, it makes me want to puke as a leftist. And I'd rather sit in a mire of fucking complete irrelevancy than vote for that. See, I take a stand. Because that's the power I actually have over fucking rapists. I refuse to sign my name next to theirs. The rest of it's up to fucking law enforcement, and you know it. I'm sorry, but this is nothing but an emotional argument. Goddamn right it is. It's about raping women. You want me to bring logic and nuance to rape? Is that what you're planning on doing in your forthcoming streams, Jamie? Or do you not really give a fuck? Rape. Vote. Rape. Vote. Rape. Vote. Rape. Vote. Sounds wiggle wormy to me, to be quite motherfucking frank. Sounds like somebody who's uncomfortable accusing me of making an emotional argument. And this is and you're defending it either way. Good for you. Way to fight for what you believe in. Way to take direct action against those that you fucking really, really are against, Jamie. Just not a useful fucking way to virtue signal right now, is it? Tara Reid's rape gets swept under the rug because who gives a fuck about that fat, ugly bitch, right? You want justice for Tara Reid, so you voted for her rapist to be the most powerful man in the world. You got a fucking strange way of showing it, Missy, lady, whatever the fuck. You got a strange way of showing support. I hope I never find you on my side. You think Tara Reid's ever going to get justice now that you've empowered her rapist and made him functionally legally immune? You and people like you helped to make her rapist functionally legally immune from ever facing any charges for what he did to her. So do you want justice for Tara Reid, or you want Joe Biden as your president? Because if you wanted justice for Tara Reid and probably the, who knows, dozens of other women that he's fucking raped in his life, you denied them it by giving him functional legal immunity, the ability to acquit himself of all wrongdoing, past, present, or future. You want proof? Look at the history of our prosecution of presidents and ex-presidents. Find me some legal precedent. Forever. Forever. What kind of justice can you give Tara Reid now? Or any of the women that have accused Joe Biden of inappropriate or rapey fucking shit? Now that you've empowered him and given him legal immunity. I'll wait. Well, that ideology that you sowed your fucking self to, Jamie, made sure that a rape victim never ever has legal recourse in her life. She gets to live the rest of her natural life knowing that her rapist can never be touched. You think you might want to question an ideology that you've tied yourself to when it causes such cognitive dissonance? Your path forward includes making immune a rapist of women. Your path forward means empowering a segregationist and an austerity lover and a warmonger. You can't divest yourself from that by pointing at Donald Trump. Get a fucking profile pic, please. Don't come in here with another fucking word unless you got a profile pic. You got 300 seconds to figure it out. Why don't you clip this and put it up on your channel, Jamie? Or make a show about it. You got my permission to use whatever you want. You feel hamstrung by the environment, you've got a platform. Why don't you make this your next piece of content on your channel? I'd love to hear the long-form explanation for this. Props, bro. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate the donation as always. Paul, I don't know why you're attacking Mike. Don't get all fucking victimhood now. We're having a political conversation here. Don't get all victim-y. I didn't victimize you at all. I'm asking you fucking blunt, direct questions. You don't like it? Get the fuck out. You feel victimized by what I'm saying to you? Get the fuck out. Get out. I deal with worse than I've given you every second of my fucking life. Believe it. So if you're going to pull that one on me, get the fuck out of here. I'm not interested in reading it. You want to play hardball, you better be ready to fucking answer for your positions. Don't come in here playing fucking softball with me. Look at the name of this stream. Get on board or get the fuck out. I'm supposed to give you some kind of fucking deference? I want you to account for your positions as a leftist and as a person who makes excuses for Joe Biden. My opinions on voting for Biden have nothing to do with my stance on women's rights. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Empowering a rapist absolutely has everything to do with women's rights. And if you don't think so, I'm sorry for your fucking conception of women's rights. I feel sorry that your conception of women's rights is so fucking limited. If you think ultimately empowering as the most powerful man on the planet, a rapist of women, has anything positive to do with women's rights, fuck me, Jamie. To vote against the rights of every victim of his, those that haven't come forth and those that have, ensuring that they never get justice, ever, in any court. He will never see any kind of recompense or have to pay any kind of recompense to the people that he raped because of you and people like you. And after you voted for him and made the devil's bargain, you continue to fucking support him while claiming out of the other side of your mouth that you're pro-women's rights. Something don't add up. What about Trump's victims? What about me? We're talking about 2 rapists here, yes? You don't know how many Trump victims there are. How many Biden victims are there? You got some information the national news media doesn't? If not, don't what about me. Account for your vote. Did you look into the science, by the way, on the recidivism rate of rapists? Is it typically a one-off crime, or am I correct in assuming that it's not? In fact, I'll just drop the kayfabe. I'm not assuming. It's not. Ever hear the Czech Velvet Revolution? It was an overthrow of the communist government. It was 100% peaceful. It's a good model to use here. I've never heard of it. I think I've heard of the Velvet Revolution, but I don't know much about it. So I will not claim knowledge on it. It's something I'll learn about. Trump seemed like the worst one in that. It looked like he went after kids. Biden only had one accusation. Oh, one accusation. Not one rape claim, one accusation. So it's just an accusation now? Okay. You have this weird absolutist way of looking at politics. It needs to be this way, or one side is just the same as the other. Life is more nuanced, my man. You can be an activist and also a politician. No, you can't. Even if you didn't win, they never will. Right. Thanks for the $19 though. So because more women haven't come forward against Joe Biden, you took the devil's bargain, just assumed that Trump was probably maybe more of a rapist. So now it's degrees of rape that you care about. So it's not necessarily that you are against rape. It's that if you do less rape, or it's like plausible that maybe you kind of possibly did less rape, even though you've lived the same length of life and you know that rapists rape really early on in their lives and continue doing it their whole lives, because I'm sure you've read the science on this, because you're once again devoting a lot of your channel to it. So now it's not even about being against rape. It's about what degree of rape is different, right? To what degree do we empower a rapist of women? How forward thinking? How left? How in favor of women's rights? Which I'm sure will flourish under the Biden administration. Oh, they will flourish. Well, don't fucking text and drive, dude. Drive. You know why I was against Bernie during the primaries, Jamie? Because I knew the DNC would scuttle his campaign and that the money that all the people that were giving to Bernie would go in the pocket of a rapist like Joe Biden, and it happened. That's why I was against him in the primaries. Oops. Sorry that Biden is not a saint. Oh my God, get the fuck out of here. Thank you for the $5, but I'm not even reading the rest of that. What a fucking childish way of couching women's fucking rights and talking about a rapist. Sorry that Biden's not a saint. I mean, yeah, he's forcibly slipped his dick in a few women and left them psychologically scarred forever. But what do you want, bro? Get the fuck out. I don't even need your $5, bro. Lesser of two rapists argument is something I believe is actually going on. Hashtag no confidence. Yep. See, people don't like being forced with the fucking hypocrisy of their fucking own decisions. And they want to fucking accuse me of being too emotional or something. I'm being the emotional one here. Shouldn't you be emotional about the rape of women and the empowerment of rapists? As a staunch advocate of women and their rights, and as somebody like Jamie who is dedicating a huge swath of her upcoming content to exposing a rapist, right? What about the rapist in the White House? You gonna fucking work on him a little bit or no? You want to pull the what about game? What about him? What about the women he violated? What about you actually taking direct action to empower him and your culpability in that? What about, and what about? If you're taking the devil's bargain either way, maybe it's time to look at a different way, huh, Jamie? Huh, Jamie? Maybe it's time to look at a different way, huh, Jamie? If both bargains that you're given are devil's bargain that empower the rapist of women and the people that support them, maybe it's time to look at a different way as an advocate, a staunch advocate for those things. What do you think? I'm one. I'm a staunch advocate for the rights of women and the rights of women to tell their stories and seek recompense and fucking legal recourse for the fucking shit that's happened to them. I don't empower rapists. I don't give functional lifetime legal immunity to rapists. I don't participate in direct action that does that because I'm a leftist. I also don't elect people who snuggle up, as you admitted to strong men all over the fucking world who oppress women. You admitted to that earlier back when we were friendlier at the top of this conversation, Jamie, if you'll remember. You can scroll back if you've forgotten. I don't snuggle up to those people either. I don't pass my vote on to them because what they do to the people in those other places matters to me. I'm saying, how the fuck can you be an advocate of women and functionally fucking give immunity to a rapist at the same time? How do you suss out that cognitive dissonance? And you've given me your answer. I'm not grilling you anymore. Your answer is, well, I think Trump maybe might have done less rape, so I just went ahead and voted for the rapist that less accusers have come out about. Even though I know, because I'm dedicating a lot of the time on my channel to rape and how it works, that abusers that offend one time over the course of their lives offend many. Yes, our country does disgusting things no matter who's in charge, but I believe they do worse things with a Republican in office. Well, tell that to anybody in the fucking global South, Jamie. That's it. You can go now. Or you can move on to another topic. I'm done addressing you directly and only in this fucking conversation. This is weak, Jamie. Sharpen that sword. Because I don't know where you stand on this fucking shit anymore. Oh, so now the rape of Tara Reid is a conspiracy? Thanks for another $5, Ian Jones. Another advocate of women. You might want to get on the boat with Ian Jones. Might want to call up Ian Jones. He seems to have some good fucking excuses on deck. Truth is, by this logic, we're all empowering a rapist by paying taxes that go towards his salary. The difference is, nobody was holding a gun to my head and telling me that I had to fucking vote or go to jail. And there's a gun to your head saying that you have to pay your taxes or go to jail. Oops. Maybe you want to think out an analogy before you throw it out, bro. If they fall apart that easy, they were never that good at all. I love this. The rape of Tara Reid is a conspiracy theory on par with the fucking Red Scare and the McCarthy hearings. What happened to believe all women? What happened to believe the story, believe the woman, believe the victim? What happened to that? I guess it goes out the window when you're talking about a political opponent. This is who you associate with, by the way, Jamie. Just wanted to let you know. These are the people in your camp. Deny, 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 downplay, downplay, downplay what happened to these women. And by the way, if you want to claim that there's no evidence that Biden may have done some creepy things with children, I advise you to go look at the creep compilations of him snuggling all close to little girls' ears and touching them and rubbing them. And you don't think that's a little off, Jamie? She was trying to use that old fucking, oh, well, yeah, but, Trump might have been a pedophile, maybe. You don't think Trump might be a little bit of a pedophile? You don't think his actions with young children he doesn't know are a little alarming for an adult man? You don't think his excuses sounded like bullshit? You remember when he sat down in front of the camera? You probably don't. Remember when he sat down in front of the camera and made excuses for why he touches little girls against their consent? You might want to go look into that. That happened back in like 2018, 20 something, the big run up, early run up. Just all fucking falls apart. The logic behind this lesser of two evil shit. The absolute state of the American left. They both are. Like I said, we were empowering a monster either way. Then get out of it. I didn't. We didn't. Don't lump me in with that we. I didn't sign off on an affidavit giving Joe Biden legal immunity against any future rape accusation or any past rape accusation. You did. I don't think I'll talk about this with Vosh. No, this isn't one of Vosh's big subjects. If it comes up, it comes up. But I'm bringing this up with Jamie because this is Jamie's big push as a leftist right now. And I want to test her fucking beliefs against her direct action. I don't know how other people are perceiving this conversation, but I'm finding it wanting. If it comes up, it comes up. I have no problem taking this tact with Bosch, but I have a feeling it won't. This isn't one of his, major channel issues. It's not one of my major platform issues. I'm bringing this up specifically because Jamie Darke is in my chat. Jamie Darke is a leftist trans streamer who is currently engaged in a massive kind of push to make the victims of sex abuse heard on her channel. And I want to know how she justifies voting and giving legal immunity to a sex-abusing monster that probably raped kids. If you want to go by the same logic you put by Trump, he probably raped kids. He's probably done more than sniff a child in private, if that's what he does in front of the cameras. So that's the tact I took with Jamie. I tailor make my argument. There are different angles that this argument comes from. I messaged you on Twitter, Paul, about possibly talking in the future. I got to go for now. I appreciate your time and charitability. No problem. I'll look for it. Be patient with me. It might take me a while to get a piece of time for you or whatever, but we'll talk. I'm not going to defend voting for Joe Biden. It was a terrible action, but I viewed it as not voting for Trump to be a worse action. All right. Well, I think that people that did it need to defend it. I think that you need to get a better rhetorical fucking comeback to this type of fucking argument than I'm not going to defend what I've done. Because that doesn't account for what I've brought up here tonight. And that doesn't account for the duality of your position. And that's all there is to it, dude. Look at the arc of emotional fucking shit you went through. You were just fucking like 10 minutes ago accusing me of being too emotional. I'm too emotional about the abuse of women and the empowerment of their abusers. You might want to state that on your channel. Tell that to the next victim you bring on to tell her story. Why would you say something like that? And Jamie, I'm a victim of sex abuse. I'm a victim of child sex abuse. Love you, Paul. Thanks for the Louis Armstrong Basin Street Blues mention. It was my job break song if I'm feeling uneasy. Cool. I already did define it, but you clearly have a different perspective and don't see it. Whatever. If you want to take it down to one of those like que sera, agree to disagree things, and that's where you want to end it, I'll let you go with that. But if you look back over this and you think you did a good job defending your position, and I recommend you use it as a way to sharpen your fucking sword. Ian, please keep giving me $5, but I ain't gonna read a fucking thing you say. Give me as many fucking doses of that Canadian money as you want, you dipshit. but I'm not going to read a fucking word you say from here on out. Dose me up, bitch. Keep it coming. Keep that syrup dripping, Canuck. But I ain't reading a fucking thing you say from here on out. I'm an advocate for victims of sex abuse. You got a problem with that? Pay me. Pay me to not be read. Well, in lieu of a proper discussion, Jamie, how about this? How about you take this conversation that we had tonight and you use the ability that you have as a content creator and you make a piece of content about it. And then if I feel that that piece of content warrants further conversation with you, we can do that. See, I'm not talking to your average Joe Blow driving a truck down the road here. You have a platform on this fucking website, Jamie. Do a little of the fucking legwork if you care about this. It's all here. It's not going anywhere. I've been talking to you for a fucking hour. Did you check out Taylor's interview on her channel? Yep, I watched the whole thing. You can do a response on stream. You can make a standalone piece of content. I think it'd be better to do in an environment where you're not worried about other people, since you seem to think that that's what's butchering our ability to have this conversation. Do it however you want. Other people have a right to complain about being misrepresented in the chat and shit. You got a fucking platform, Jamie. I'm sub to Jamie too. It's up to you. It's your channel. I'm just saying, you have a recourse that most people in this chat do not have. You have a platform on this website where you can take this, which is publicly available. It'll start going up right after I end the stream tonight, and it'll be available tomorrow for your use, or probably later tonight. And you can take any part of it, as long as you don't fucking quote mine me if you want a fucking discussion with me. You don't pull something out of context and argue against a straw man. You present yourself as somebody that wants to have a good faith fucking talk about this, and you account for some of the things I asked you here tonight, we can talk. You come at me sideways or fuck around on me, you'll never get beyond a fucking talk in the chat with me ever again. I expect people to stand on the principles they claim to. And if you don't, you're a chatter. What do you think of Stevie's transformation? I'm going the same route. It's fucking stunning, bro. I saw Stevie just before I left Louisiana, and I put my arms around him, gave him a big hug, despite the COVID restrictions that were going on, because there was no way I was leaving Louisiana without giving him a hug. I gave TJ's mama a hug and their stepdad a hug, too. I saw them all right before I left. And it's fucking unbelievable what he's gone through. Fucking unbelievable. He has literally changed, flipped his life upside down, bro. And good for him. He's done a great job. He's in great fucking shape. Sorry about the questions. What questions? What are you sorry about? What do you think you've done? Well, Stevie is doing really well. I can tell you, if you want to be supportive of Stevie, support his endeavor to be financially independent by supporting his Twitch channel. He's really, really throwing himself hard at this Twitch thing. He's a good streamer. Go over there, give him a follow, give him your Twitch Prime subscription. If you're a Twitch Prime person, like, you can help him out by doing that, really. Follow him on Twitter. He announces his stream, or go to his fucking Twitch. Yeah, one of my mods, if there's somebody around, can link his Twitch. If not, you should be able to find it pretty fucking easy with Google. It's Steve Zor the Grim, I think. Yeah, you should be able to find it. He streams pretty regularly. He's very, very, like, fastidious about his schedule, so... You guttering out, little joint. That's okay. I'll take you out and re-roll you later. Luckily, there's more where you came from. This will be the last joint of the night. This is my good night joint to you. I don't know how long it'll take me to smoke it. I may not all smoke it all at once, but I'm just letting you know. Guys, I don't want to be a fucking asshole. I really don't. But I'm dead fucking tired of excuses, and I'm not going to accept them from anybody anymore if they want to have this fucking conversation for me. Excuses are driving this fucking planet to its grave. Playing hopscotch with your fucking deeply held personal convictions is driving this planet to its fucking grave, and this species, and millions of species besides. This is not a joke to me. This is the future. This is what I believe in. This is everything I strive for. And I'm not going to play hopscotch anymore. Friend or foe. I'm just not going to do it. And that means that I'm going to get shit slung every day of my fucking life. Pull, you're coming. Cool. Where's that syrup dripper at? Where's that silent Canuck at? Drip me some more of that maple syrup, punk. I usually don't solicit donations, but from you, Stevie always seemed reclusive to me, but here's a $5. He is, as a person. Stevie's not a super, like, he's not like a fucking total recluse, but I wouldn't describe him as like a super outgoing guy. What's that have to do with streaming? Fish and berries, dude. The lib apologia is political cynicism dressed up. It's sad to see. I agree. Gone Rewilding, you're another person who I really want to fucking talk to. If there's anybody on fucking Reddit that I follow, it's you. I don't fucking follow you around or use any of Reddit's tools, but when I see a post of yours, I fucking read it. Because you make sense. Like your fucking arguments are solid as fuck. And when you make sense, you get downvoted for it. And that's really like the future. Yeah, Gone Rewilding is way more well spoken than I'll ever be. I have a very folksy way of talking, and that's just that. No, it really was meant as one though. I don't follow people on Reddit, so I really like seeing your long form posts there when I do run into you in various places. I mean, I don't know. You're an actual fucking Anprim. I dabble in Anprim theory. You've taken the fucking step. You've taken a step beyond no confidence. That's what I want to talk to you about. How do you step out of the system completely and remain a leftist? How do you do it? You're doing it. How does Derek Jensen do it? I'd love to talk to him. How do you stand steadfast in the face of fucking constant negative backlash? Nothing. Figured I added something. Yeah. You did. What's wrong, dude? Anybody the subreddit hates is usually got the right idea. Usually. That's usually the case. Yes, I'll go with that. Hey, Anprim, if you're here to be a gimmick account, you're going to find it a short stay. I'll give you a chance. But if you're here to be a gimmick account, you're going to find that you have a short stay here. Gimmick accounts don't last here. They disappear very quickly. Consider yourself forewarned. Paul, this Nick Thullum guy is driving. Do you think he is accidentally donating? I don't even know who. I don't see his donations. I don't even know what you're talking about. You might be giving me too much credit, but I already exist within a lot of fringe ideas anyway. Stop considering myself mainstream, right? Oh, I consider myself the same. I'm an antagonist of the mainstream, but you've taken a step further. You know, you've probably heard me. I've seen you here quite some time dabble in the anarcho-primitive side of things. But I have not taken the full step as labeling myself as such. And I'm interested that you have. And I'm interested in people that have, because people will tell you that it's just cope. It's just your way of coping with it, not wanting to actually take direct action, that you've retreated to this untenable ideology. But really, you're talking about fucking a world after the collapse and the ability for the whatever few people may be left to learn from the lessons of what came before them. Derek Jensen says a lot of things, and he says one thing very often that I hope is true, that the primary metric by which we will be judged by future generations is the health of the land base. Period. Point blank. And I really hope that that is true. I hope that when the horror that's coming, and make no bones about it, it's coming, I hope that when it comes, those of us that are left, if there are any, look at the devastation and manage to make something better than what we've done to the planet. What lessons? If there's a collapse and you don't have a whatever, dude. If you don't have a basic survival skills, okay. So what about the people that have basic survival? Whatever, dude. Get out of here. I'm not going to defend DJ generally, but it seems weird to consider him an eco-fascist unless you equate all political violence to some sort of authoritarianism, right? Well, that's the label that's slung at him to silence his opinion. You're familiar with quite a few labels, I imagine, in your ventures as a anarcho-primitivist. I have a feeling like if you're asking me to look in my crystal ball, it's going to be Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. And Kamala drops the strap to Trump. Kind of weird to be the one burning forests and then complain that he's extreme and fascistic. Right. Right. I mean, it's the cognitive dissonance is real. People have been fucking brainwashed into thinking nationally for so long that they can't see the repercussions of our way of life on the planet. They're not willing to face it. They get themselves caught up in this fucking idea that they're taking direct action, but really all they're doing is just legitimizing the very system that ruined the fucking planet in the first place. They call me an accelerationist, and then they vote for Joe Biden. Unreal. They're the ones accelerating things. DNC hardliners are the people that are accelerating the end. Leftists that have given over their entire fucking sense of personal activism to the DNC are the people hitting the gas pedal on this shit, not me. But trust me, you'll hear me called every fucking name in the goddamn book, from tanky to accelerationist to whatever it is that it takes to undermine the functional argument that there is cognitive dissonance on the left in America. We are trying to pretend like we're in fucking 1820 and the world is still local. We're trying to pretend that we're not clear-cutting entire swaths of the global south. I have not heard of Guy McPherson, no. It's uniquely American, too, how badly people fall for bullshit talking points, of course. Well, no, not true. That's uniquely human. It's happening all over the fucking world. You don't think that fucking Great Britain has its foot on the gas pedal? Or Sweden? You don't think Sweden's you don't think Sweden's nice green way of life isn't bought at the fucking cost of the global south? If you believe that, I encourage you to look into it, by the way. This is what I'm talking about, though. When are people going to reconcile the cognitive dissonance of a left that continually votes for people who make promises they don't keep and then claims they're doing the best they can and rolls over and takes it and claims to be anti-fascist and take anti-fascist action but supports a direct fascism with their votes, with their political support and donations? When is this cognitive dissonance going to be addressed in the leftist community? Matt Pinfield, get the fuck out. Do you think that Mad Max is a reality in our supposed kids' future? I seem to think so. Or like Fallout. You're fucking romanticizing it, dude. It's going to be so... Watch The Road. If you want a more realistic, non-fucking Hollywood fantasy version of the apocalypse, watch that. That's closer to the human future. You're not going to be wandering around the wasteland listening to Big Iron and shooting at rad scorpions and shit like that. Okay? Yeah. Read The Road. Pick that book up and read that book. Or watch the movie if you're a person that doesn't like reading. If you want a little peek at what I think it's going to be like, or something close to it. Yeah. Go get one of those Chernobyl tours. Take a look at what's left. Take a look at the ghost town of Pripyat. There's your future. All these people, dude, you've been fucking raised by media to think you're gonna get Fallout or Mad Max, some dramatized metal fantasy. No, it's gonna be human degradation, rape, murder, and enslavement. It's gonna be horrifying. The collapse is what I'm talking about. What's left after the collapse? That's up to the people that come after. Do they learn from what we've done to the world, or do they squabble over the last remains of what's left and end up winking out? That's the real question. That's the existential question of humanity. After the collapse has happened, after the horrible, brutal, kill be killed time of the collapse is over, what little is left of humanity, does it come together and learn and work together to preserve what's left? Or does it kill itself fighting over the little bits of what's left and wink out like it never existed? In the annals of time and history, it'll be like nothing ever happened here on this planet. That's the question that faces you and me and every other human being on this planet. And I'm not just some crazy old homeless dude. I listen to scientists. What I'm telling you is not just some old homeless dude's dark prophecy about the end. I listen to scientists, climatologists who study this shit for a living. These are their words. The end is coming. I will. I watched that movie, Paul. Thank you. I don't know what you're talking about, Shati. I don't know what you're talking about. The road. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Seems depressing. It is. But we got to face it, yeah? Depressing though it may be, this is the problem. This is what every fucking person on the planet should be worried about. So let's get beyond that depression and let's start talking about it as leftists. Yeah, it's about the end of the world. It's supposed to be a bright, shiny conversation. I mean, what do you guys want from me? Rainbows and unicorns about the future of the human race? Look at the fucking trajectory. Listen to the fucking scientists. It ain't pretty. Resource-based economy, please. Yes, please. We don't get unicorns unless some kind of horrifying unicorn hybrid is created by science or radiation or some shit, but I'd rather not have them. Did I waste my time tonight, guys? I'm asking you an honest fucking question to the 180 people sitting here watching, even if you're lurking. If you're driving, don't do it. But if you can take a minute and tell me yes or no, did I fucking waste my time here tonight? Do I waste my time when I sit here and do this? Yeah, kinda. Well, at least you're honest. Yes, no, no. Yes, no, no. Guys, remember what I said earlier, yes? Help me timestamp these. If something interesting happens and there's a multi-tiered political conversation, timestamp them. I will support you if you support me in that. If you're somebody that doesn't have the money to donate a lot, but you've got the time to watch every one of these, take a little note. Okay? Help me out. I want this to be more functional. I want it to be what it is. Because the truth of it is, when I'm taken out of context or my positions are misrepresented, I get mad, but I have no reason to be mad because my whole life is here. My whole philosophy is here, buried in these fucking things that I do. It's all here, but it's buried, guys. And that's because of the way that my mind works. And I'm sorry that it works that way, but this is the way I work. It's the way I function. I'm not good at codifying this shit. I'm not good at making it presentable to people. I'm good at talking it. And when it gets buried under 2 or 3 streams a day, it's very easy for these to go by and reach nobody. Go by and reach nobody. If you guys will help me out with this fucking shit, those of you that watch this, timestamp it. Put it in the chat. I'll do a highlight reel for you guys. I'll figure out a way to do it. But we're going to have to start fucking doing it. Every one of these streams should have, it has to be timestamped if you want that. Because I'm not going to go back through it. I've already moved past these when I end them. Would I like you to share, comment, and like? Do whatever you want, bro. What I would recommend is if you like catching these, hit the stupid bell and hope it works. But as far as share, commenting, and liking, I don't give a fuck what you do. I'm the person that said I watched The Road, Paul. I meant it's depressing. Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for the $5. We understand each other. We're cool. People aren't going to watch a 2.5-hour stream of a stoner coughing and sitting on his fucking porch. You've got to parse these arguments so people can look at them as blurbs. Unless you're going to pick up a gun, you've the few choices a democracy allows within its laws, but you do get choices. I agree. I fucking agree. We don't disagree on that. You know what my position is, right? I vote. Vote for local fucking initiatives. Vote for any un-DNC or RNC affiliated politician. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. It's a mockingbird. It's a mockingbird. Did you guys hear that? It's not a peacock, it's a mockingbird. That's not a fucking rooster. That's a mockingbird imitating a rooster. That peacock call is a mockingbird call. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's a rooster. Mockingbirds, that's why they're called mockingbirds. They're amazing. They're amazing imitators. LARPing as a rooster and probably LARPing as a peacock as well. Because peacocks don't call out like that at night. How about you hire, dude, that requires the first part of this, which is time stamping these streams. So if these streams are time stamped, then I can think about hiring an editor out of my pocket to edit small chunks of this content and put it out in different forms on social media and shit for people to consume. Whether it's here, my Twitter, I can try and start doing that. So timestamp these. Timestamp these, timestamp these, timestamp these, timestamp these, timestamp these fucking shows. What interesting topics did we cover? What did we talk about? How long did we talk about it? When did we move on? So that I can fucking parse what's good and what's not. Timestamp the timestamps. Anyway, I'm going to stop this now. You guys have fun. And I'll see you next time, yes?